having a bad day and I came home drunk and things kind of happened.
No. Things don't just happen.
I know I made a huge mistake with it, ma'am.
What did you do?
Sir, would you please give us your full name and DOC number? You're on mute. Can you unmute yourself, or can you get someone there to unmute you?
My name is Jamie Dwayne Rymel. My DOC number is 750040.
Thank you, Mr. Rymel. Let me explain our process to you. First, I'm going to read some information into the record, and the board is going to conduct a parole interview with you. At the appropriate time, we will allow the participants who've indicated they wish to have input to speak. Here today on your behalf is your sister-in-law, Jody Lynn Richard Rymel, and your sister, Jennifer David or David. I'm not sure exactly how she pronounces it. At the end of that, you'll be allowed to make a brief statement to the board, and then we'll vote. You understand our procedure?
Yes, sir.
This is the matter of Jamie D. Rymel, DOC number 750040, date of birth May the 1st of 1984. It's classified as a first felony offender. He has a parole eligibility date of March the 30th of 2023. He is not eligible to earn good time, and he has a full term date of December the 1st of 2029. He is currently serving a 10-year sentence on the charge of carnal knowledge of a juvenile. Mr. Rymel, is that information accurate?
Yes, sir.
Your case has been, this case has been assigned to Ms. Bonnie Jackson. She'll begin our interview process. Would you please answer any questions she might have?
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Rymel.
How are you?
I'm fine, and yourself?
I'm okay.
How old are you, Mr. Rymel?
38.
And how long have you been incarcerated?
Since April 16, 2019.
How long is that?
Around four and a half years.
Okay. Have you been housed at your current facility the whole time?
Yes, ma'am.
You're classified as a first felony offender. You're alleged to have engaged in sexual contact with a child of 12, and that sexual contact is alleged to have occurred over a number of years. So how old were you when this contact with the victim began?
I do not remember, ma'am.
Well, that's fine. You should know.
Like 33, maybe 32, 33.
And how did you know this young lady?
She was some friends who were staying at our house. It was her sister.
Okay, so, say that again. Explain that to me again.
Friend who was staying at our house temporarily. It was her sister.
Whose home was it?
Me, my friend Miss Melissa Green, and her husband Daniel.
I don't need the last name. So you and a couple were staying together in a residence, is that correct?
Yes.
And you all were roommates.
Yes.
And you were paying rent to somebody, correct?
Yes.
All right, so tell me again how the victim came to live in that household.
Could you repeat that?
tell me how the victim came to be living in that residence.
Her sister and her husband was staying over there and she came to visit.
When you say they were staying over there,
Yes.
is that the same couple? Is that the same couple you referred to?
What's that, ma'am?
Was that the same couple that you said you were roommates with?
No, ma'am.
So her sister and her sister's husband moved into the residence?
No, ma'am. Melissa Green's, daughter's father, they had lost their home and they came to stay with us for a couple of weeks while they got a new place to live.
Okay, so, and the victim was her daughter, Melissa's daughter.
No, the victim was, Dustin Hall's wife's little sister.
Who is Dustin Hall?
Melissa Green's, the father of Melissa Green's daughter.
You understand? Paul?
You're the father of Melissa Green's.
Melissa Green was my, roommate.
Okay,
Her baby daddy, sister.
okay, okay. So they only stayed with you all a couple of weeks?
That's whenever I first met them. Nothing happened at that point. That's how I first met them.
Well, how did the victim come to be living in that home?
She came to be living in the home whenever she had asked her dad if she could move there so that she could go to school in Hawthorne.
Okay. And how old was she? What grade was she in?
She was in high school, like 15, maybe.
I doubt it. Mr. Rymel, it's alleged that the sexual contact between you and the victim began right after she made 12 years old.
From what I understand, is she was in high school.
You lived in the same residence with her, correct?
Yes.
You knew she was getting on the bus going to school somewhere, correct?
Yes.
And you had no idea where she was going to school?
Houghton High School.
12, is it K through 12?
What, ma'am?
Is the school K through 12?
Houghton High School is freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior, ma'am.
So your contention is you had no idea that this little girl was 12, 13 years of age when you began a sexual relationship with her.
No, ma'am.
You were clueless about that.
I did not know she was 12 if she was 12, ma'am.
So now you're saying she wasn't 12.
I do not, from what I know, she was in high school. That's all I know. She was going to Houghton High School. That's why she asked if she could live there, so she could go to high school, or so she could go to school in Houghton.
And so how did you start having sex with this young girl? I
was having a bad day and I came home drunk and things kind of happened.
No. Things don't just happen.
I know I made a huge mistake with it, ma'am.
What did you do?
She came on to me and I kind of went with it.
So 12, 13, even 15-year-old came on to you, a man in your 30s, and you, I think in your statement to probation and parole, you said she basically molested you. Those were your words, not mine. And you're sticking with that today?
No, because I feel like I made some major mistakes in those, in all of this, and
Well, what mistake did you make?
I can't blame what I did on her.
You just did.
N-
That's what you did in your statement to probation and parole. That, she came on to you, took advantage of your intoxication, and then threatened to tell people if you didn't keep having sex with them.
Yes, that did happen, ma'am.
Okay, so you are blaming her.
No, I'm not blaming her for it happening in the beginning, no ma'am.
So tell me, what programs have you completed?
I have completed the SO program, all 4 phases, as well as,
Okay, wait, let's stop right there. You've taken all 4 phases of sex offender treatment, correct?
ma'am,
Tell me what you got out of that. What you learned.
I learned how to pretty much notice whenever I get in a situation where I can make a mistake like this and how to avoid it.
So,
I learned pretty much I learned how to recognize all triggers that goes along with it, and how to recognize whenever I'm in a bad situation and whenever I need to step back, or maybe even call somebody so that I'm not alone.
well, what did you learn about the impact of sex offenses on the victim?
I learned that it can be very devastating for them, and that it's no matter what, it should never be done.
So how do you think your actions affected the victim in this case?
I'm pretty sure she's probably got some scars.
Why would she have scars if she was the one who initiated the conduct, perpetuated the conduct, used the conduct to threaten you? Why would she have scars if that's what happened?
Because it was the whole situation in the end, it was not a good situation at all.
You also took substance abuse treatment.
Yes, ma'am.
And what was that addressing? What were your substance abuse issues?
Well, I always liked to drink, and I used to smoke a lot of weed, but I quit doing that whenever I decided.
Was marijuana the only drug that you
What's
used?
that?
What other drugs did you use besides marijuana?
Narcotics.
Such as?
L-Bill, lower tab tins usually, somas a couple times.
Why were you using those drugs?
Just to get high.
Okay. Were you employed?
What's that, ma'am?
Were you employed?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I was always employed.
As what?
I did landscaping for many years, and currently, before I came to jail, I am a Class A CDL truck driver.
What, I couldn't hear you.
I'm a Class A CDL truck driver. I work for Eagle Distributing, delivering beer.
And how long had you been working as a truck driver prior to your arrest?
3 years before, 2 years.
Did they require drug tests?
Yes, ma'am. I quit doing drugs so that I could drive trucks.
What's your job at the prison? Or do you have,
I buff and wax the floors, ma'am.
You said, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. The reception is kind of bad.
I buff and wax the floors.
Are you a trustee?
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been a trustee?
2020.
You have a moderate, I'm sorry, no, you have a low risk. You applied for an interstate compact to Texas. Tell us about that.
After my mom died, most of my family's in Texas, and where I really like to be is with my family.
Okay, has that compact been approved?
I have not, it has not been approved yet. I just started it.
And what would you do there?
In the little town of Crosbyton, I was hoping to get a job at the cotton mill to start until I get my CDL back on track. And then I was,
Would you be living with?
my dad,
Who else lives in that household?
my dad's wife.
Any children in the household?
No, ma'am.
Any grandchildren?
No, ma'am.
Not necessarily living in the household, but are there grandchildren?
No, ma'am.
Nieces and nieces
My
and,
brother,
go
my
ahead.
brother, daughters, but they live with him.
How old are they?
15 and 13, I think.
Is there anyone from the facility in the room with you, Mr. Ramel?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, may I speak to that person? Hello, how are you?
Hello, good morning, how are you?
I'm good. You know anything about Mr. Ramel?
As disciplinary officer, it's a good thing that I don't know anyone. Luckily, Mr. has not come across my desk, and he's been a trustee for the past couple of years. We have not had any issues with Mr. Ramel.
Okay. Well, no news is good news, Mr. Ramel. All right, Mr. Maribel, that's all I have.
Now we'll hear from your supporters. Your sister-in-law, Jody Lynn Richard Renell. Sheila.
I'm here.
Yes, ma'am. Would you please introduce yourself and tell us what you'd like us to know?
My name's Jody Lynn, Ramel, Richard's my maiden name. I was hoping you would ask me questions. I don't know what I'm supposed to really say. I live in
Ma'am,
Crofton.
let me simply say this. You are here, as I understand it, to support Mr. Jamie Ramel. So we're interested in listening to whatever you have. I would appreciate you taking that emoji off the screen. That's not something appropriate for this hearing.
It just came back on. I'm trying to figure out how to I'm not computer savvy. There we go. Wait.
Oh.
How do you turn this thing off? Did it come off?
No, ma'am.
My camera.
There we go. Okay. Jamie is my brother-in-law. I've been knowing him for like 15 years. He's a good man. He's always been a good uncle to my girls. They adore him. He's dependable. From our standpoint, he's very dependable. He always had a job. We lived with, I guess, all roommated together for a couple years when we lived in Bossier. all I can tell you is he's a good man.
Okay.
He's trustworthy with my girls. I mean, there's nobody else I would trust more than him whenever it came to my children as a uncle. So
Well, thank you, ma'am. We appreciate your comments. We'll now hear from Miss Jennifer David or David. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that correct. Are you on, ma'am?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can.
Hello. So Jamie is my brother. I am the other address that if he is released, that he would be living with if he can't get the interstate compact. I believe that he is ready to be released. I'm not really. I think that we were both under the impression that we were supposed to get questions, and so I apologize that I don't have a speech prepared. I think that Jamie lived with me for a long time. Me and Jamie roommated for a long time. And I believe that for many years, Jamie lived a very sensible, normal life. And I believe that there was probably a 2-year period to where he moved out and he roommated with some other people and he went down a negative path. And he didn't stay on it for very long. He got a CDL and he went back to just the norm that our family lives, the standards that our family lives by. And he's living the consequences of his actions for that period. And I don't fault that, but I do think that at this point he has paid for his consequences and he should be released. And he would, if this interstate compact is approved, he would be released to live with my father. My father was a preacher for many years. We come from a good family. And I would like to see him return to.
Thank you very much, ma'am. We appreciate your comments.
Thank
Ronell, is there anything you'd like to say before the panel votes?
No, sir.
Ms. Jackson?
Mr. Ramel, this case is very troubling for me. I don't feel like you've been really candid with the story. This was a 12-year-old girl who had just turned 12. You engaged in sexual conduct with her over the course of a number of years. And while you say the words that you're remorseful or you regret your actions, you really have to take responsibility for your actions. You're describing this 12-year-old as some seductress, some, manipulator who, forced herself on you and then tried to blackmail you and you were powerless to do anything about it. That shows me that you really haven't come to terms with what you actually did, the consequences that those actions had for the victim in this case. And even though you've gone through the sex offender treatment, what you got out of it is what it can do to help you not get caught up. But I don't think it helped you address what was it about you that would cause you to commit this crime against this young girl. And more importantly, how devastating that had to be for somebody that age to be in a sexual relationship with a man that was much older than her. And I do not believe that you were not aware that this girl was not 15 or 16 years old. Physically, there's a lot of difference between a 15-year-old, a 12-year-old, and 15 or 16-year-old. I think you have some more work to do, Mr. Ramel. I don't think you're ready yet. I'm going to suggest that you, I don't know whether victim awareness that would help, but you need to find out what it was that would cause you or allow you to commit this kind of crime and to own up to it and accept responsibility. I don't think you've done that today. And so my vote today is to deny.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Ms. Wise?
Mr. Rennell, I was really hoping that your interview would have went differently this morning. And I recognize that it's just me putting it out there. When you had your sisters and your sister-in-law listening, you were a little guarded about sharing, but they love you. They're here to support you regardless of what you did. So go ahead and own it. They are here because they are for you. And I think today you didn't want to, you weren't honest with us. And that's what we need to see so that you can be successful when you go on the outside. So I concur with Ms. Jackson, and I hope you took down the advisement and reapply for your elder. My vote is to deny as well.
Mr. Rymel, you have 2 votes to deny your parole. I agree with my colleagues. I hope you heed their advice. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Is this the last one at Bossier? We'll adjourn at Bossier at 10:05. Thank you very much for your assistance.